Hey everybody, this is Perch, and this is a great question here. It says from a viewer, thank you very much. Do you think the fact that absolutely everything gets collected nowadays is alienating and bewildering to new readers? Yes. Let's see if the reasons why are the same. It means the shelves of the bookstores are filled with content labeled, for example, as Volume 7 of a series. The reason I've had this thought is that living in the UK and mainly reading UK Transformers comics as a kid, those are awesome, by the way. Those UK reprints had Iron Man, Hercules, Rocket Raccoon in the back. They were awesome. I only discovered characters like Batman later through bookstores. So when I walked into the shops as a teen, I could buy the Batman stories, The Cult, that's awesome, Killing Joke, Year One, Dark Knight Returns, Nightfall, Death in the Family, etc. Graphic novels were outstanding, significant stories, and these hooked me onto Batman. I somehow doubt if I was a teenager today and went into a bookstore and saw, far outnumbering those classics, stuff on the shelves like Volume 9 of Tom King's Batman run or Volume 3 of Peter Tomasi's Detective Comics run, that I would take away a positive view of Batman if I were to make purchases. No slight to either of those writers, I like their work. I just think that only truly outstanding stories were all that was collected. They acted as ambassadors for the monthly books. I started buying the Bendis Daredevil monthly as it was coming out after reading Frank Miller's Elektra saga and Trade by Example. I know that digital comics makes this largely a moot point, but I am struck by how, on the Comixology subreddit, wherever there is a sale of Spider-Man, or whenever lots of people who don't have a clue what to buy or where to start and have to be told by other fans. Whereas Marvel should be the ones making it clear by collecting the creme de la creme, or at least making the numbering comprehensible. Kind regards, Merry Christmas. Thank you very much for the mail. That's an awesome, well thought through mail. I mean, you kind of answered your own question there, but you did give me the nice memories of the UK reprinted comics. Those are wonderful. So I agree with your point of view, and I would go a step further. I think digital makes it very easy to have the unlimited set of comics at your fingertips. You can see any issue anytime. You should be able to easily look it up. Now, by the way, what I'm describing is not what Marvel and DC and Comixology currently have. I still think their apps largely suck. But if you could have a very simple, I'm trying to think of actually somebody who has done it right. Well, I mean, I think Shonen Jump does it pretty right. I think that there's definitely apps out there that do it right, but just basically being able to type in Iron Man and see the full list. I mean, here's the sad and pathetic thing. There's this website, Read Free Comics Online, and I'm not promoting it because it's all pirated stuff and it's wrong, and yeah, it irritates me to no end, and it's often virus bait and other stuff. However, their way of categorizing comics, where literally you type in the title, it gives you all the titles that are connected to what you typed in, and then it just has a numerical list and you can click. Why is that system so much better than what the big companies have? Why is that site beating Amazon in usability? That makes me insane. But what I agree with you completely on this run is I think that there's one exception, but I think that what should happen is that comic publishers should reprint the really, like you said, the creme de la creme of stories, the best ones, the storylines that really hit. And they should be reprinted in a nice, prestige format. You can put out a hardcover, you can put out a soft cover, you can put a little note, from the author, you can put some sketches from the artist in the back. Really make that a great collection. And then for the ongoing titles, like you said, use the really powerful storylines that are collected as ambassadors for the other stuff. I think that's absolutely the right way to do it. It only makes sense. Now, some of you may be saying, no, hold on a second. I like to have on my shelf the reprints there. And I think there is still a world for that. I think that's called an omnibus. I think you can still put out kind of omnibus or true believer type collections where you do have those volume 1, volume 2. But what you should be leading with as a publisher are the best possible stories collected in a prestige format. I think if you did that, you would get exactly the effect you talked about, where you come in and you see like Craven's Last Hunt. You're like, wow, I really like this. Now I want to explore the comics around it. You shouldn't, I don't think it makes sense to go into your bookstore and then have to hunt through volume 19 of Spider-Man and try and figure out how it connects with Web of Spider-Man and Spectacular. I would rather you basically have two options. Either if you really are determined to get the print, have that kind of True Believers, Zine kind of format for yourself. If you have a lot of money and you want to get the hardcover, go the omnibus route. Maybe you do those as print on demand, so you're not taking up shelf space, but it's accessible. You can go on to, like, how hard would it be for Marvel or DC to have a section on their website that was POD, where you could basically say, I want, a collection of comics. I'm looking for Spider-Man number 200 to 240. And they basically have a system where you could put in up to, 40 comics of a line, and it would print on demand those comics in a cheap, almost newsprint, phone book kind of format to you and send it off to you. I don't think that's impossible. Like, literally make the trade what you want. The technology is very possible to do that. I mean, they're doing that for books. They're doing it for other things. Hell, there are newspapers. Remember newspapers that old people read? There's the New York Times has this function where you can go through and you can kind of cherry pick a bunch of stories, maybe from your birth year or your anniversary or whatever it is. You can just cherry pick a bunch of things, and it collects it, and then it prints it, and it sends it to you, and they charge you for it. That'd be great. But basically, what I think should happen is what you described. The publishers should put out nice hardcover prestige format versions of the great storylines, and softcover too for cost. Then, if you want to read more, and they make it really easy for you in a couple different ways, you go to their app, and their app is not stupid. I mean, hell, at this point, give up and just hire whoever the webmaster is for Read Comics Online. Tell them, don't bring your virus and your ads for chat with a underage girl to the site, and instead just hire those people. They clearly know how to build a website where you don't. Anyway, but get it so you can very quickly, very easily subscribe to digital format comics, read what you want to read, and then make it so that also you can click on some of those comics. You could say, hey, these 5 are really great. Send to print on demand, pay a little bit of a premium, and 2 weeks later it shows up in your mailbox as a printed copy. I think that would be great. They have the mechanism to do it. They have the money to do it. It would be I think it would be profitable for them. They would definitely turn a nice healthy profit doing that, and it just makes sense. I think that trying to print everything, as you identified, just does confuse people. It confuses the retailers, confuses the booksellers. Nobody has it in stock. They tend to underprint the lines, so you get these weird situations where you get volume 1, 2, and 3, and you can't get volume 4 because it had such a low print run that it's out of stock, and who knows if they're ever going to do it again. So now you're going to have to pay somebody just insane prices on eBay to try and just complete your trade run. I mean, that's stupid. That's the current technology and system means we shouldn't have to put up with that anymore, and there's just better ways to do it. I think that if you want to really increase comic reading, want to really get into this is the way to do it. This is absolutely this is the path. And I don't know. I like your mail because it speaks to how a lot of people get into comics. They tend to come in and they tend to get caught by some kind of cool storyline. And then when it comes time to actually go see more, it gets just choked out. And I know it sounds silly, and I know a lot of people who are listening to this are already into comics, so you can't fully get it as a customer. But if you've had children and you're trying to introduce them to comics and you walk them over to the Western comic shelf, if you run a shop, and how many times running the shop did I have to explain to my daughter, who younger at the time, what was going on with these different volumes? It was the second you've had to do that as a parent or as a friend to somebody new to it, you realize how absurd a lot of these choices are. They're really designed. I mean, here, the ludicrous is this. The silliest part of all this is this. We hear Marvel and DC and the big guys in the Image and plenty of creators on social media and other things. We hear them talking about, we have to get new readers. We have to get new readers. We can't keep catering to those old readers. And then the decisions that those companies make, not the readers, but decisions those companies make, are the most new reader unfriendly decisions possible. I defy anyone from any of those companies, walk in to a bookstore or a comic store, stare at the trade paperback shelf, and you tell me what the fuck is going on. You're not making any of this friendly to new readers, any of it. If you're vomiting out, Unbeatable Wasp Volume 2 Trade 3, screw you. You've done it. You're doing it all wrong. You're not reaching any of those people you say you care about. Anyway, sorry. Thanks for the wonderful question. Merry Christmas. Thanks for listening.